Hi guys, it's Nadine. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm joined by someone very special. This is Tannie Alet. I've known Tannie Alet for most of my life. She watched me grow up, and let me tell you, she truly knows a way around the kitchen. She's especially famous for incredible curries and heartwarming soups. People can't stop talking about them. So today we're combining the best of both worlds and making a curry potato soup, or as we call it, a curry aardappelsop. I'm so excited to share this with you, and I know this won't be the last time you see Tannie Alet. Let's get started.
Thank you, Nadine. Just before we start with the soup recipe, I have to state I am not a lover of soup. I do not love soup. So I had the privilege of meeting one of my neighbors very many years ago that thought it was a sin for me not to like soup. And he gave me this specific recipe because he knows I love curry.
Okay.
So hierdie curry aardappelsop, curry potato soup, is actually, the reason why I like it is because it's curried, number one. And then number two, this soup made me realize that there are other soups that I would more than likely like. Okay. And then I started experimenting with other soup recipes.
Oh, wow.
And that's how I got to making soup, which I and my family like. There are certain soups that I won't put my mouth to, but this specific soup and a few others I particularly like.
Okay.
Yeah. So let's get started.
Yeah.
It's got very simple ingredients that you find in a lot of recipes. It's just the combination of the various ingredients makes it quite attractive or tasty. So the first thing that we use is either any short rib. So either lamb, mutton, or beef. In this case, we're using beef, and we're just cutting it up into chunks so that we can braise it quite easily in a pot. Okay, so now the other thing about this soup is it's a very forgiving soup.
Okay.
So you don't have to use specialized cooking techniques or anything like that. You can simply use what you know and what your mom taught you, and it's not there aren't special blanching techniques, or you have to bake it in the oven before you can actually start. You use the ingredients, and you can use something as simple as a pressure cooker. In today's life, pressure cookers are an absolute blessing. Because you can come home and make a hearty soup like this within a matter of an hour, where essentially, if you're going to be making this specific soup, because it's got potato in, if you're going to be making this specific soup on the stove, it'll take you in excess of about 2.5 hours.
Sure.
And nobody after a hard day's work wants to stand in front of the stove for 2.5 hours, and the kids and nobody else in the family is going to be waiting for 2.5 hours. Yeah. So that's what makes this such a nice recipe to use.
Okay.
Yeah.
And if you don't have short rib to use, is there other meats that is a good alternative?
Any stewing meat.
Okay.
Yeah. I would go with something with a bit of a higher fat percentage.
Okay.
On it. So stewing beef's fine.
The fat obviously adds flavor to the
lots and lots and lots. And the vegetables just absorb the natural fat on the meat.
How many meat are we using?
In this case, we're using 500 grams of stewing beef for this recipe. So before we braise our meat, let's just put it on so long so it starts heating up. We will be braising it in a combination of a bit of oil and butter. Because the combination just gives you just so lovely. Yeah, much better than just plain oil. And then we season our meat. with salt and pepper. I personally like quite a bit of pepper, but depending on your family and what your preferences are, you can adjust the amount of salt and pepper. All right, just like that.
So this is all according to, the salt and pepper is according to taste.
Yes, absolutely. We are going to be putting chicken stock in later. So if you want a stronger salty taste, you can always put a stronger chicken stock in.
Okay.
All right. Or you can just add salt. Okay. Just wait for the butter to melt. The meat we're going to braise at quite a high temperature so that it seals in all the flavor. Okay.
Okay.
And all that lovely juiciness comes out.
Why are we adding both oil and butter? It's sometimes people only add butter, sometimes only oil.
My preference is a combination of the two. When I do any kind of braising, whether it's curry or any kind of curry involved, because it gives you a similar taste to what ghee tastes like.
Ghee.
Yeah, in the Indian environment, you will often hear that they use the term ghee, and ghee tastes like a combination of oil and butter, which is very tasty.
Oh, wow, okay.
So we just put the meat in. It's always good to make sure your meat is dry. So if it's not dry, you can pat it with a tidy towel or any other kind of preference you may have. If it's wet and soggy, that goes into your braising, and there's a lot of water involved. You don't want water in this specific step.
Okay.
You only want the meat with its own juices and the butter and the oil.
So the water would dissolve all the flavors typically?
It would make it soggy, and the meat won't braise. It'll stay a grey version of the meat.
Yeah.
It needs to go nice and brown and this specific recipe is enough in its current form for about 6 people.
Okay.
But it depends on how thick you like your soup. If you like a thicker soup, you won't add anything in terms of water or anything like that. I personally don't like water in my food. I don't know about you. I don't like water in my stews or my soups. I like using the vegetables' natural fluids. But if you like a thinner soup, you can put a bit more cream in, or you can put a bit more chicken stock in if you don't like a very thick, hearty soup.
Okay.
Which is strange. A lot of people wouldn't like a thick, hearty soup. But that's personal taste. That's just your personal taste. Braise this.
The braising seals in the flavor. That's the purpose of the braising.
Yeah.
If you would put meat on fine bits on all the sides, just to
seal in the flavor.
Okay.
Yeah. And what's nice about it, while you're braising the meat, there's bits of the meat that actually go into the oil and the butter, and it stays behind because we're going to take it out a bit the moment that it's braised properly.
Yeah.
And it just adds so much flavor to your vegetables, and your vegetables absorbs that and makes it very tasty.
And the reason why we also cut the pieces beforehand is because if you take it out now and cut in smaller pieces, those sides are not braised, and then all the flavor would be lost.
You obviously done this quite a few times. Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So we just wait for it to braise. The soup is, I hate the word nice. It's like fine, saying something's fine. We're not going to do a fine soup. We're going to do a fabulous soup. Okay. So what's so forgiving about this soup is that we say it's a curry potato soup. So the moment you go curry, you go, what is it, an Indian curry, Asian curry, a spicy curry, or what? You can make this curry soup however you like it. You can buy from a very specialized paste from the top end markets, or you can simply go to a local spa and buy Raja spice. It's not the kind of recipe that requires a particular type of curry. From particular type of shop or
Yeah.
that you have to make your own curry blend. You can use any turmeric that you buy from the shop, and you can use any curry blend.
Okay.
If you're not a big curry fan or you don't make curry often, if you have a Raja Boxy little box somewhere, you can use that.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be a specific type of curry. Yeah.
Okay.
You normally find these, the mild and spicy ones in the shops, but I'm using this all-in-one curry powder that has garlic in it as well.
It smells
So we're not
absolutely
going to put garlic
fantastic.
in the recipe. It's not supposed to have garlic in, but who doesn't love garlic?
No, but the smell, this entire room is filled with the aroma of this curry and the meat starting to braise. It smells wonderful.
So let's start with the leeks, because leeks are quite a challenge. They normally tend to have a lot of gravel or ground and soil on the inside.
Yeah.
So I tend to open up my leeks completely and cut them up, and then I make sure that I rinse them properly with a colander, because it's an absolute bugbear of mine to eat something, okay, and then biting into a piece of soil or sand. Yeah.
So the ground, even though this leeks do look clean, it will still be sand between the pieces.
Leeks by nature tend to have, it doesn't matter where they're grown and how well they're rinsed, there's always a little bit of sand that stays behind, and I think it's critical that everybody just rinses them. Don't eat leeks without rinsing them. So we're going to use 2 leek stalks in this specific recipe, but let's just make 100% sure it's properly rinsed.
I'll go rinse these now.
I don't use a potato peeler, I'm old school. So you can start peeling the potatoes. Oh, and any kind of potato will do. I don't think sweet potato will work that well. I've never tried a sweet potato, but then any type of potato will do for this specific recipe.
Should I start peeling the rest of the potatoes?
That'll be great. Thank you so much.
I'm not old school. I
want to share a bowl?
Yes, that would be lovely.
Okay, so we can now actually start smelling the braised meat. We'll sort that out now. It's nearly there. The potatoes we simply cut up after we've peeled them. No fancy nothing, we just cut them up.
Where did you learn to cook? Where did your love for cooking begin?
My mom, she made the best food ever. And she loved trying everything from normal family food. And I was privileged enough. My dad worked in various areas in Africa and all over, and he always came home with requirements, something new that he had eaten and he wanted it again, and then he'd tell her, oh, I was in Angola and I ate a prego roll and there was the most amazing sauce on there. And then she would go and she'd find out how to make it, and she'd go and ask a Portuguese lady in the area how to make it, and then we all invariably had to eat it. And that's where we learned how to eat different things and also make different things. I believe the meat is now at a point where we can actually take it out. You just want to drain the excess oil off the meat. So you can just take it out and put it in a tidy towel. The idea with the braising is not that the meat should be cooked through. It's just, you just want to seal in the yumminess and the flavor, so that when everything eventually does go in together, it's cooked into the soup. Okay. So as you can see on the inside, there's now a lot of juice that's left behind. So we're going to stir we're literally going to stir fry the veggies in that so that it absorbs
All the flavors.
the flavors. These days in stores, unless you have the privilege of buying in a marketplace, the carrots tend to be quite small. So if you buying this carrots off the rack, it's four carrots. But if you have huge carrots like these, then you only need 3. So again, your carrots, nothing fancy, cut it up in blocks. Just need to cut the onions as well. So Nadine, what inspired you to make food videos?
You. I've always loved food, but I have an immense love for baking.
Okay.
And I love baking, and I have a bit of a sweet tooth. I've noticed that a lot of people in my generation, we don't know how to make food. We don't know how to cook food properly. It's the modern day stuff.
I think it's a lifestyle thing. It's just life has become so rushed that there's not enough time for people to spend
3.5 hours to make a soup.
Exactly.
It's not part of the lifestyle anymore. So a lot of people just tend to not make a home-cooked meal. I'm lucky enough to have a mom and a grandma and a dad, and people in my life who do love making home-cooked meals. So I'm trying to take all the opportunities I have to can learn from them, for them to show me how they do stuff, because they're still part of the generation who grew up in homes where parents cooked.
Yeah.
And I don't think a lot of people necessarily realize now, but, I don't really know how to do this. Let me ask my mom, or let me ask someone who knows how to do it, to do it.
Yeah.
So it's just to capture stories, people's lives, how they do stuff, because it tends to go missing if you don't document it.
Yes. I think the amazing thing about that your reason is the fact that a lot of family time gets lost.
Yeah.
Because I can remember as a child, a lot of our storytelling and discussions and debates and everything was in the kitchen and at the dinner table.
Yeah.
It normally continued at the dinner table. So I think there's a big loss in people not...
Quality family time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so this goes back on.
These
differ a lot, but people know their own equipment.
Yeah.
So the braising side is the highest temperature on your slow cooker, and this would just be a normal medium temperature kind of thing that you... With this specific soup, as I said, it's very forgiving. So there's no specific order that it has to go in the pot. Okay, here is our leeks. There is a bit of water left on here, but it's fine. The juices we were after for the meat is in here already, so that's sort of not an issue. You can just chuck all of that in here, and I'll cut the celery.
Okay. Celery and leeks are something I don't think a lot of people eat on a day-to-day basis.
Okay.
What exactly, flavor-wise, does it add?
Leeks are very similar to onions.
Okay.
They have the same feel and taste as onions. Celery has a much stronger flavor. It's kind of pungent, but it's a flavor that adds to the dish.
Okay.
So the onion has a very specific, it goes more towards the sweeter side, where the celery tends to have a very specific taste.
Yeah.
I think in any dish, there's no dish where you put celery in where you can't specifically taste the celery.
Yeah.
It has a very specific taste. Not everybody likes it, but I have found that in any good soup, there has to be celery.
Okay. And that coming from someone who didn't love soups before.
I still don't like it much. But there are soups that I do like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they have celery in them.
And they have celery in them. So now we've put all our veggies in. We've got our onions, our leeks, our potatoes, our carrots, and our celery. And now we can add our turmeric. I'm just going to put everything in there. And
The curry.
And then we just stir everything through. And it's going to have this nice and yellow color,
Yeah.
which is strange for a soup, but it is a curry soup.
Yeah.
So,
You would expect the curry soup to be a bit yellow.
yeah. So we just make sure that all the meat and the flavor just gets mixed through. And once all the juices, and you can see all the juice, there's nothing left at the bottom.
Oh, wow.
You can see that everything's been absorbed. We can put in our flour. And also you can just mix that. There's no
Fancy.
special way of
Yeah.
doing it. You just chuck it in there.
And the purpose of the flour is?
Okay, so the flour is, except for the fact that it's kind of a thickening agent, it also absorbs a lot of the vegetable juices and the meat juices. So you have the thickening agent, instead of it tasting like a thickening agent, like Maizena or something like that, it absorbs all the juices that are in here and just makes it a flavorful mixture.
Yeah.
Okay, so everything's now been absorbed, and we can now put our meat back. And we can now simply just put the meat back in there. And now we add our chicken stock. Again, very forgiving recipe. We can use store-bought chicken stock, oxo blocks. In this case, I'm using chicken.
How many?
For this size pot, I think 4 on about a liter and a half of water. No.
Okay.
Okay. I'm using the same spoon to mix the oxo.
Is it going to fully dissolve in the water now?
It shouldn't.
No.
I find in general it doesn't, but let's see.
Okay.
Maybe this time it will. What I love about pressure cookers is that in the pressure, it also creates its own fluid. So it does dilute the saltiness of the oxo blocks. And there we go. Then you can just mix it through. In a pressure cooker, you want the liquid to just cover the contents of your pot. Just be careful especially the electrical pressure cookers, they have a maximum meat mark.
Okay.
So you can't fill it up too high, because if you then release the steam, all the liquid comes out with the steam.
And that would be an absolute mess, especially if there's curry inside.
And a waste. Okay, so you know your pressure cooker. With this specific one, I'm going to set it on high. We're going to leave it on in this pressure cooker for about 40 minutes. I do believe after 40 minutes the meat will be nice and soft, and all that flavor would have infused in the vegetables, and the vegetables will be soft. Then we can open it up and we can finish it off. Okay, so now the 40 minutes has passed, and we're just going to check what our soup looks like. All right. I suggest that we unplug the pressure cooker.
Okay.
And then open up. And then we can see what the result looks like, and then decide on the way forward.
Okay.
Normally, at this point in time, I'll remove the chunks of meat that are left. A lot of the meat would have cooked off the bone.
Yeah.
So essentially, we just want to remove the last bits of the meat. And this would also determine, at this point in time, will also determine whether we need to add some more chicken stock, or whether we're happy with the the consistency.
Okay.
So the pressure's gone, and there's our soup. So this is what it looks like. You can decide whether you actually want a bit more, a thinner soup, if you want to add more chicken stock. And you can also decide whether your meat is actually soft enough. Okay, I think we're going to have to put this in a bit longer.
Okay.
So let's put this back in. The cut of meat that you use may require that you pressure cook it for longer.
Yeah.
And you don't have to worry about the vegetables because they're in enough liquid where it won't burn or anything like that.
Okay. So this was a bit of a tougher meat, so we have to pressure cook it a bit longer.
Yeah. Okay, so once we've let all the pots steam down, we're going to remove the meat and then actually remove the bones, cut off the meat, put the meat back in, and then we can blend it and add the final touches.
Okay.
This soup, as I say, is very forgiving. So if you're in the mood for a chunky soup, you can leave it as it is and just gently press your vegetables so that it's not quite that large. Or if you decide you want a smoother soup, then you can use just a stick blender after you've cut off any excess meat that stayed back behind on the bones.
Okay.
You can then just use a stick blender. The soup is actually quite thick, so I think it'll work well if we use a stick blender. So now you simply take off all your extra meat that didn't boil off the bone. I'm just going to take all of it out so we can find it easily enough and then do everything in one go. Oh, the vegetables are nice and soft, so it's literally just getting the bones out to make sure you don't damage your stick blender. And then also there may be pieces of sinew or whatever that you don't want in your soup, but that's your personal preference. Any soup you can actually make chunky or smooth. I think if you're going to look at something like a tomato soup, you would more than likely want a smooth soup. Or we have a mushroom soup that my husband likes quite a lot. He prefers it smooth. My preference is I like to bite into the pieces of mushroom. Okay. So I think it's pretty much how you would prefer it. We can just cut the meat and put it back into the pot and leave the bones behind, obviously. My husband was here. This was his favorite part of the process.
He gets to eat off the bones.
Yes, he loves it. Okay, I think that's it. All right. So now we need to add our lemon. And I personally just roll the lemon until it's soft. And just make sure you catch the pips.
Flavor-wise, what does the lemon do?
The curry in its current format, because it's got so much potato in and carrots, is quite sweet. Okay. The lemon just adds a bit of a tartness to it. Okay. That's nice, yeah. Otherwise, it is a bit bland.
Okay.
This is quite a small lemon, so we're going to put the whole lemon. Otherwise, if you have a large lemon, you can use half a lemon. Okay. Then into that, we're also going to add some cream. Now, how much you put in here would also depend on your personal taste. Okay. If you like a very creamy soup, then you could add a whole container, or you can add just half a container if you're calorie sensitive. It's not a very good idea for people that are lactose intolerant. So you can choose lactose-free options, but the cream does give it a nice fuller taste. Yeah. I think we're going to go with it. Yeah, there we go. I think we need to go with a little bit more salt. Just a little bit more. So my personal preference is to just add 2 tablespoons or 2 spoons of sugar, and that just brings out the flavor a bit more. I'll just add the parsley in the end, just a dash of parsley. You don't have to buy fresh, or unless you've got in your garden. Store-bought parsley is fine, and this parsley specifically is from parsley that we dried at home.
Okay.
Yeah, you can use that as well.
Which do you prefer if you make the soup? Do you prefer
I
fresh?
prefer the fresh, yes. The
Okay.
fresh is definitely nicer.
Okay.
We're going to thin the consistency by just adding a bit of water because it is quite thick. This specific brand of curry that I used also is a bit stronger. So you would use a curry powder for your specific taste.
Yeah.
So if you liked something a bit more bland or lighter, you wouldn't use a curry powder that is so strong. So we've now added the water, and Nadine, you can now taste. If you'd like something more runny, you can add even more liquid to it. And as I explained, every person's taste is different. Personally, I like a warmer curry. You might want to consider using the curry that you're most comfortable with in terms of the hotness.
Yeah.
So this specific version is a bit warmer, hotter than you would normally find in a spa bought or a locally bought curry. We enjoy this specific soup with toast. It can be sourdough, any kind of bread, but specifically sourdough is quite nice with this, and real butter.
Yeah. The curry is
quite strong.
It's quite strong, but it's really nice. It has a lovely taste. It's the cream definitely balances out the spiciness of the curry.
What you can do is, in any curry dish that's too strong for you, Bulgarian yogurt is your best friend, even with a soup. If you have guests that like a very strong curry taste, they can have it as it is. And for those guests that prefer a milder taste, you simply add Bulgarian yogurt to their specific dish. When they dish up, they can just add Bulgarian yogurt to that.
This is there's a lack.